We're going to talk about a consulting framework. The Consultative Framework. It's a framework that you can use from a business perspective to be a brilliant soloist, to be a great team player, as you'll see, solving very complex business problems, communicating in a variety of modes and channels in order to reach your customer, your client, your boss, your peer as needed to bring that business case to life. And then obviously with the level of detail that we're talking about, a level of grit and determination to get it done in terms of time, cost, and quality. Right? Because that's what we're trying to do. That's the name of the game in business. To be able to do things well, time, cost, quality, so that we can increase revenue, reduce cost per transaction, get closer to the customer because the customer has the money. Right? So, here's what I want to call your attention to, just like right off the bat. So, like the why and the how of this. A lot of times what I run into is people who are so like technically proficient, like they know the answer before other people know the question, like it's those kind of people. But the issue that I see so often is they get challenged to articulate the business value with maybe a technical problem. Typically then, the decision makers of that solving that problem or solving for that opportunity are people, right, who make informed decisions. So it all lines up into what's called people, process, and technology. When you run into somebody who, like, for example, is just like super technical, maybe, but they can't perhaps articulate the business value to those informed or those decision makers. So what I offer to you is a process that's repeatable, that you can use again and again and again. And it doesn't matter the industry, it doesn't matter who the client is, it doesn't really matter. The words may change, the vocabulary may change, but your approach doesn't have to. And if you can remove the process hurdle and repeat it again and again and again, you get better and better at it. It's no different than riding a bike. First time you rode a bike, my assumption is you probably rode into a wall, you probably crashed, or you probably ran into whoever was helping you learn. By the 10th time, you were actually probably pretty good. By the 20th, you were really good. By the 50th, you were super awesome. Then you developed such muscle memory with that. If I were to bring a bicycle in here right now, I would imagine any one of you could hop on that bike and ride away. You're really good at it. That's what this is. It's that same kind of process, developing what's called muscle memory. To bring it into a little bit more focus, everybody, you can even like kind of close your eyes. Right? Everybody knows what a Christmas tree sort of looks like. There's that sort of stereotypical Christmas tree. The process is that tree. It's immutable. It looks like a Christmas tree. The only thing that ever changes are the decorations that are on it. Your client is different. The problem may be different. The opportunity may be different. But it's really kind of an immutable process. So that's why we do it. It enables people who maybe aren't in the strongest suit in terms of people, process, and technology. It's an enabling tool that you can take with you anywhere. Now, a lot of times folks don't even know where to start though. Like, how do I start in creating this process so that I can analyze a business problem, take advantage of a business opportunity, whatever the case may be? I offer you this. Real simple. If you have no idea where to start, who, what, when, where, why, how, questions. If you can ask those most basic questions, people will volunteer the answers. If you just go to them, be you an early career professional or 25-year professional, doesn't matter. If you just go to people and say, I don't know where to get started, I don't know how to do this, people will disregard you. Clients won't pay attention to you, customer won't pay attention to you, your boss won't pay attention to you. Frankly, your colleagues won't pay attention to you. Why? Because they don't want to invest the time. If you're not investing the time, why should I? But rather, if you go to them with questions that are pointed, even if you don't know anything, they'll volunteer answers. So just like real simple stuff. Real simple. What's happening? Why do we do this? How often do we do this? Why do we do it this way? I love that one. It's my favorite question. When people, you ask them, you say, well, why do you do this problem? Why do you do this opportunity? Why do you do this thing the way that you do? Inevitably, almost inevitably, people will say, because that's the way we've always done it. It's the dumbest thing in the world, isn't it? But it opens a door of opportunity for you. So, okay, if you're ready to go, then you can start asking, well, why do you do it that way? Okay, you've always done it that way? Well, tell me more about that. Next, if you still don't know the questions yet, just tell me more about it. The universe or some divine power or whatever the answer is has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth. There's a reason for that. So that we listen twice as much as we talk. So let people tell you their problem. Let them tell you the answer sometimes. Look for patterns in what they say. If they keep coming back to the same sort of root cause issue, make sure you write that down. Figure that out, because you're going to use that then in your solutioning process later. They're telling you the problem. Now, when you build that consulting framework, it actually gets pretty straightforward in a hurry. I didn't say easy, I said straightforward. But if you duplicate this process again and again, you will solve a lot of complex business problems for people, and they will love you for it. It's a simple cover slide, right? Let's be creative, but let's be informative. It's a simple cover slide that we're doing. Next is a nice table of contents. This is the table of contents that is essentially immutable of the consultative framework. Regardless of client or business problem, you start with this all the time. Because they're not interested necessarily in how do you solve my technical issue. Yeah, that's part of it. The goal is to solve my business problem or take advantage of my business opportunity. So you'll see, it's actually pretty straightforward. You intro the business problem or the opportunity based upon discussions you have with that customer, that client, that boss, that stakeholder. You then recount by gathering a bunch of info and data. What's the current state? Where are we today? You ask them what their goal is. That's the future state. You figure out the delta between the current state and the future state. Those are gaps. You then use that big giant brain of yours, critical thinking to solve complex business problems, to come up with a bunch of alternative solutions that may satisfy a broad swath of the audience. Then you make your recommendation. And you make a compelling case for your recommendation using all the tools at your disposal. Then, with that recommendation, provide a roadmap to that client to say, here's how we can get there. And then, immediate next steps. Like, you know you've got it. Get those immediate next steps out there for them, so when they say, I love it, what do we do now? You're ready to go. So, you introduce the problem statement and or the business opportunity. Articulate it clearly, articulate it well. I want to call your attention to a few things. Business, urgency, strategic. You're solving a business problem. Why? Because that's where the money is. That's where the opportunity is. The urgency and the strategic nature of it are kind of tied. See, if it's not urgent for stakeholders to solve that problem or take advantage of that opportunity, it's really not strategic then. And it's really not all that important. So you want to find what is the urgency associated with it. Now, of course, there are other items that are associated with, do you want us to fix it? Do you have the budget to fix it? How do you handle these things as the time constraint associated with it? But for our purposes right here, that's it. Business problem or opportunity, urgency, and the timing associated with it. The last part is gather some data. Is it really a strategic element, thing that we're trying to solve for? See, because if you can do that, you then can frame the issue so that it's now important to that client. And when it's important to them, they will spend time, money, and energy with you. If it's not important, it's just a hobby. They won't have any interest, and neither should you, frankly. That's your intro slide. It's one, maybe two. Now we go to then that current state. Current state is exactly what it says. Here's where we are today. You do that by gathering requirements, gathering information, gathering data from the various stakeholders and other parties who are involved, plus your own institutional or tacit knowledge, or knowledge that you gain from wherever, your organization as subject matter experts. Big thing. From that problem that you identify what are the top 5, top 3 pain points or opportunity points that the customer or client is experiencing. That's what you want to hone in on, right? Solving their problem. You engage at the stakeholder level. See, all too often, what ends up happening, especially for early career professionals, is they're not sure who should I be paying attention to. Especially for folks who are like technical leaders. A lot of times, they'll get lost in sort of the technical aspect, and so they're listening to folks who might be down in the weeds and might have legit concerns, but it's not at the stakeholder level. Those are the people who have the budget. Those are the people who have the authority. Those are the people who understand the urgency and the strategic nature of it. Right? So you have to engage at the stakeholder level. Current state. It's a document of 1, 2, 3 slides that outline, here's where we are. As you can imagine, if there's a current state, there must be a future state. The future state then is, well, where do you want to be, client? Like, what's the goal? I want to call attention to 2 things here. One, it's desired outcome. So that word outcome means something. Outcome in a business parlance means the achievement of the strategic vision. See, you can implement a scope of work, but maybe that doesn't really satisfy what the client is looking for. Yeah, you checked all the boxes, but what you didn't do is help them get to where they needed to get. Case in point, if somebody says, I want to pay you to mow the lawn, great. You go and you mow the lawn. Did you fulfill the requirement? Yes, you did. But now they said, well, the reason why I wanted you to mow the lawn is because I wanted to plant flowers in that same area. So you're not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. Yeah, but then you haven't succeeded. Yeah, but I fulfilled the scope of work. Yeah, but that's not what I really needed. I need you to be able to mow the lawn, meaning clean it, make sure it looks nice, put the dirt in so I can plant flowers. That's the difference between the scope and the outcome. The outcome is what they strategically want, need, and can afford. So that's why I use that term. And then obviously metrics are the numbers, the quantitative that goes with it so that you can prove your value. That's the future state. One other thing that you need to understand is achievable and realistic. If somebody says, well, my vision is to shoot a rocket to Jupiter over the course of the next 6 months, I probably can't help you. I probably don't think anybody can help you. But here's where I can help. Let's solve this business problem instead. If there's a current state, which is where we are, which is our business problem, our business issue, or our business opportunity, and future state is where I want to be, the space between the two of them is probably the gap. Example. If we're at the Grand Canyon, everybody know the Grand Canyon, Arizona? It's really big giant hole, ancient. If you're standing on this end, and you want to be on that end, that's current state, that's future state. The gap is the Grand Canyon and the Colorado River. So now you have to identify that gap to that customer, to that client, to let them know this isn't like snapping fingers, this is some hard stuff. So a key component is to say, what are we capable of doing? What resources do we have at our disposal? And validate that gap with those stakeholders. Like, are these really issues that prevent us from getting from one side of the Grand Canyon to the other. That's called a gap analysis. So we've got introduction of the problem, we've got our current state, we've got our future state, we've got our gap, right? The gap that prevents us from getting to the future state. So what would we do? We want to fill the gap. So we come up with a bunch of alternatives. Once again, using critical thinking in our giant brains to solve a complex problem with a variety of alternatives that allow us to partner with that client to figure out what works out best for them and for us, frankly. Okay, so let's go back to the Grand Canyon for a second. Current state, standing here, future state, want to be there, gap, that. Alternatives. Well, one alternative is we get a helicopter, we can hop in the helicopter and we can ride the helicopter across the Grand Canyon. That'd be super awesome. That actually would be super awesome. It'd take us like 2 minutes to get across the Grand Canyon. Costs us a ton of money though. Okay. Does it work? Sure. It's an alternative. How about another one? Well, we could climb down 5,000 feet, walk across, wade the river, climb back up, get on the other side. Probably deadly. Die of dehydration, get eaten, drown, take 8-9 days, but you could do it. It's an alternative. And you know what? Probably cheaper than the helicopter. Alternative. Alternative 3, I could take a couple big steps back, wind it up, get a good running start, a little bit of a tailwind, give it a shot. Give it a shot. Right? Come off the left leg. Give it a good shot. I would probably find out quickly if I failed or succeeded. But it's an alternative. Someone would say, well, it's cheap, it's fast. We'll find out if we succeed or fail in a hurry, and then we can go try something else maybe. If it doesn't work, if it does work, that's pretty cool. Those are all alternatives, aren't they? I guess the fourth one would be walk 5 feet to the right and there's a bridge there and you walk across it and we're okay. Wow, those are our alternatives that you would offer to that client. Because here, I want you to take note of. Imagine your audience isn't necessarily just like one person who's listening to you saying, yeah, that's a great idea. Oh, I love that one. I don't like that. I like that. You're talking perhaps to the CFO who's interested in the money. Well, I'm not paying for the helicopter. I don't care. That's too expensive. See if you can jump it. It's pretty cheap. I'm talking to the COO who's saying, wow, you could probably walk across that bridge. That'll probably work pretty good. Maybe I'm talking to the head of engineering saying, I don't think the jump thing is going to work. You're talking to the head of sales and marketing saying, wow, we should take a helicopter. It'll be awesome splash. Who cares how much it is? So you have to be able to reach, connect with each one of those kinds of audiences. One's going to be looking at cost. One might be looking at timing. One might be looking at revenue opportunity. Other one might be looking at splash. Other one might be looking at engineering opportunity, capability, feasibility. So it's that. That's why you offer the alternatives and you share them with those stakeholders to see which one wins out. And they might all be compelling, frankly. Ultimately, you need to come to a recommendation. And you work with the client on that. That's not done in a vacuum. You're solving a business problem with them, right? So it's cool. So, big thing, make your recommendation, make it strong, but it's got to be aligned to the strategy like we talked about in the beginning. You can't just say, well, you know what, I've got another idea. Let's try to shoot the rocket at it. Well, shooting the rocket isn't part of our strategy. We have 4 different pillars that we can go for, so it's got to be strategic alignment. Right? And then the last part, what are you going to get out of it? Remember, we talked about urgency, we talked about solving the strategic problem, and certainly you have to consider return on investment or cost or revenue capabilities or margin capability, whatever, associated with your recommendation. You have to tell a story. But these are all 1, 2, 3 slides a piece. Right? You're not creating this like 5,000 slide PowerPoint deck. You're getting the idea across. You're still doing all the rigor associated with it, but then you have to be able to tell the story. And you have to tell the story from a business perspective, right? Everybody okay? Love it. Now, the next thing then is I love it. I love your recommendation. We especially love the fact where we're not going to take 2 steps back and then go make a leap for it. We don't want that part. So you come up with a roadmap. A roadmap is really essentially a project plan. If we were to go do this, how would we go do it? And you talk about perhaps various work streams, owners, tasks, timelines, durations, dependencies, risks. We're going to cross the Grand Canyon. We're going to do the bridge one, thankfully. We're going to do the bridge one. It's the best recommendation. So how would we do it? Well, if you just try to walk across, like that thing's a few miles across, and if you go like in the middle of the day, like in the summer, it's going to be super hot. Got it. So what do we need to do? And there's no bathrooms on the bridge. Okay, so we need to come up with a plan. So step 1, hydrate. Let's go buy some water. Got it. Or go get some water. Got it. Step 1. Step 2, use the bathroom. Step 3, put on comfortable shoes. Step 4, make sure you have the right clothes to wear. Step 5, always put on SPF at least 50. Step 6, cross the bridge in one fell swoop. Get to the other side. Signal everybody. Step 8, signal everybody on the other side, hey, I made it and it's cool. Cross the bridge. You make a plan. You share that plan or roadmap with that client to let them know who's accountable for what, when, and how. I love it. What do? Well, we do next steps. These are like the top 10 things we knew we need to do to get started, right? To get going. It's the catalyst, the accelerant to get moving. Absolutely. You've got to, again, get that stakeholder buy-in. Like, is everybody on board? Like, if we go and let this thing fly, is everybody in? And you get that approval, you get that buy-in, you get that engagement. You get people to align resources as a result. Both time, meaning people, and money. Right? And then last part, how can we get some quick wins under our belt? Some things that are high value, but like low cost or low time. Just to get us going. Get a win in the good column. You know what I mean? Client will love that. If they can get a business win from you quickly. Because everybody else then will buy in on it as well. So far, so good? Right. That's a consulting framework. Here's the last part that I want to share with you. It will never get taller. Like, that is really as complex as you're going to see it. Yeah, people will say, like, well, you forgot this, you got to put this in, blah, blah, blah. I got it. Guess what? You can secure a multi-billion-dollar deal with that deck. It won't get taller. It might get wider, meaning current state might be more than one slide, or roadmap might be a few different slides, or recommendations might be across several or many, or I need to crack open a spreadsheet, or I need to show you this diagram, or I need to show you how this solution all works together with some sort of picture or graphic. Yeah, absolutely. The Christmas tree is still the same though. Still the same tree. Maybe a little fatter, wider at the bottom, or something like that. Still a tree. Put different ornaments on it, depending upon our industry, what our client's business need happens to be. But it's still the same. It's practically immutable. You learn it, you repeat it again and again. If the process is on, then even you don't have to be all the time, because the process always works. I'm not saying you're going to secure every deal all the time. I'm saying you're going to give yourself an opportunity to be successful every single time. And who would not kill for that, right? Like, you would want that opportunity. So, carry this with you, please. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, okay. Carry this with you, please. It will serve you well today, tomorrow, the next day. I'm telling you, it's the real deal, okay? It's the consultative framework, and we're going to use it to solve complex business problems for a lot of our customers, okay? Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody. Very cool.